Well, thanks for getting together with me. I know this seems like the most convenient moment we could find.
I'm a bit confused why we're doing a staff meeting on Saturday night at 9 p.m.
Well, we got to get this Mother's Day sermon together.
Mother's Day is tomorrow. You don't think we should have worked on this ahead of time?
Hey, we got 12 hours until this sermon. That is ahead of time. Not to mention the fact that Emma had 2 softball games, there were soccer practices, there was other things that we were doing here. I've had all of my boys and their wives and Casey at home this weekend, so we didn't exactly have normal hours to meet this time.
That's true, plus we've done more with less time before, and we tend to excel under pressure, but why are we meeting in the soothing room of all places instead of your office?
Well, I thought that perhaps the comfort room would give us some peace and quiet. And it seems to work for the moms on Sunday mornings, so I thought maybe it would do the same for us. That's simply why.
Or it'll put us both to sleep, and we'll really be flying by the seat of our pants in the morning.
Well, there was one other reason we're meeting in this room, because the other thing I heard that sometimes the moms stash some snacks in here. So, just saying.
Fair enough.
You found the bonus, did you?
I found Kool-Aid.
I think I'll stick with my coffee.
What else is in here? Junior dippers.
Oh, nothing but the best.
Cheese and pretzels.
Hey.
There you go. I get 2.
Oh, that's okay. So what I thought is we could maybe just chat and type a little bit and perhaps come up with what we need for the morning.
So when we do this, I'm assuming that you're like me and you talk out loud the things that you type?
Yeah, isn't that normal?
Normal is what normal does.
Well, see, I really think that we need to encourage mothers this year for Mother's Day. It seems like the predominant presentation to parents is about the areas that they're failing in, but we have some really, really good parents in this congregation. And I believe we have incredible potential in all of these families. So what I want to do is I want to come up with some ways to encourage them. So for instance, we could give all the moms something that says, world's greatest mom.
I don't think every mother can be the greatest mother. I think the idea of being the greatest is a little restrictive, like it's only the top one. There can only be one. I don't think we can.
Okay, wait.
And I don't think we can really go Highlander here.
You're taking this way too literally. Your logic is absolutely dizzying at points. It's meant to be a common statement of cheering them on. And I just want to brainstorm some ways to bring them encouragement.
Okay. But I had one of those pretzels, first of all, and I don't know how long they've been there. And I am exhausted at this point, so you'll have to do all the brain think stuff.
All right, well, so for instance, the first point I think we should make is that times change, things change. And I think one of the significant encouragements that moms especially, and really all of us need, we need to hear that it isn't always going to be like this. When life gets cyclical, it can really feel like you're just stuck on the hamster wheel, and it doesn't matter what you do or how hard you go or whatever, you end up right back in the same place. And sometimes for moms, I think that's really discouraging. Ecclesiastes says this. It says the words of the teacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. He says, meaningless, meaningless. Utterly meaningless, says the teacher. Everything is meaningless. What does man gain from all of his labor at which he toils under the sun? Generations come, generations go. But the earth remains forever. The sun rises, the sun sets, and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south, turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again. All things are wearisome, more than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor the ear its fill of hearing. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There's nothing new under the sun. And I think sometimes we get in that cyclical feeling. Sure, there's a lot of repetition in life. Actually, sometimes we even like that, because I can think of certain days in my life I'd love to repeat over and over. Enjoying time at the beach in Hawaii, or a family day when everyone was getting along. But when life is tough, when the baby isn't sleeping, or the kids are fighting, or you and your spouse just can't seem to get on the same page, it can feel as though this is where we're stuck permanently. Looking back on the struggle times now, I see them more as just kind of a part of the fabric of parenting and family. My dad's mom, my grandma Gerchak, she used to say, you mostly remember the good days. And when we were going through the tough days, that really seemed very unlikely. But now looking back, I actually find that to be more true than I actually expected. So as you're struggling through difficult times, and there are many for all of us, remember that it's not always going to be like this. Especially since God has promised us an eternal home with no crying, no pain, no shame, no dying, no strife or parting. At that point, the good days will be every day. But also know that as you face the obstacles, you're creating opportunities to see the work of God, because you're created to constantly learn and grow. You get better at this. There were so many crises that we faced when we were early in our marriage, and I had kids in the house, that I honestly had no idea how to handle. I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the emotional maturity to deal with some of those things. And I wish in some cases I could go back and do them over with a little bit better perspective and a little less of a reactionary approach. We all blow it sometimes. But one encouragement that I think God offers us is found in actually the book of Lamentations, the book of woe and discouragement. And it seems like a strange book for encouragement from God, but he was speaking to a group that had blown it. And he was reminding them that he was still working on their behalf. So even though they weren't at the top of their game, God's grace was still there and available. He wrote this, because of the Lord's great love, we're not consumed. For his compassions never fail. They're new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. So we just need to encourage them to allow God's grace, his love, and his compassion to bring hope and comfort, to enjoy the good days, and not to lose heart on the difficult ones. His mercies are new every morning, and I just think we can encourage them to give themselves some grace as well. So that's kind of what I think for the first point. I think sometimes we measure our success as parents by perfect navigation of seasons. And by that measuring rod, we always come up short.
Yeah, I can't even perfectly navigate, not getting in trouble for yelling at the umps. That one pitch was so far
Hey,
outside.
hey, easy, Big Rig. Yeah, I know. Speaking of perfection, have you found the perfect Mother's Day gift yet for Lacey?
No.
You're a little late if you haven't.
But isn't being a mother the greatest gift of all?
Yeah, that is beautiful. But I don't think she's going to buy it.
Well, maybe. I keep getting these ads for the Artemis 2 astronaut ice cream things on Facebook.
I missed that. But there's something about the idea of freeze-dried ice cream that makes me just want to say, give me some of that. It also makes me hungry. What other snacks you got over there?
Ooh, Spider-Man gummy?
Hey, I'll take a Spider-Man gummy. Thank you.
Anyways, back on topic. We're talking about measuring parenting by perfectly navigating circumstances. And that's a really high bar for people.
Right. In fact, it's an impossible bar. It's rather self-defeating. And so I'd like to somehow convey to mothers the idea that being a good mom doesn't require perfection.
All right, let's see. You're welcome. Stranger on the outside. Let's see.
Deer peeking through the window.
I think that is a great idea to remind them of that idea, like social media, pictures, TV shows, trad wives often give this like mythical picture of a perfect mom. And it's so hard to not compare ourselves to those things we hear and see. Sometimes it isn't something out there, but something closer, like a friend or a mother or mother-in-law that we compare ourselves to and feel like we just don't measure up as a mother compared to them. We get this skewed idea that we're doing all of this or have done all of this perfectly, or that they have, but we're not really seeing the whole picture. There's no such thing as a perfect mom, even the ones that we think are from looking from the outside. There's no such thing as a perfect mom, but there's a lot of good moms. When we look at the Bible, we see some pretty amazing women and some great moms, but one mom that's often thought of as near perfect is Mary, the mother of Jesus. By all accounts, she was a very good mother. She had to endure a lot of difficult and unique circumstances. She also had the honor, but the overwhelming weight of raising the Messiah and God who had come in flesh. She was the first-time mom, probably young and totally unprepared for a regular kid, let alone Jesus. But she does a good job with it. She does a good job with what she has. She apparently, with Joseph, raises him well. He's protected, he's loved, he's cared for.
Except for when she lost him.
Well, she lost him. He chose not to be where she told him to be. I don't know. We sometimes stop all those great things she did and kind of go overboard with praise for her. But there were other stories of her as a mother that show she wasn't perfect, even though she was a good mom. The most glaring one that I can think of is Mark chapter 3, verses 20 through 21, when it says, Jesus entered a house and again a crowd gathered so that he and his disciples were not even able to eat. When his family heard about this, they went to take charge of him, for they said, he is out of his mind. Okay, but like that's his family, right? Not her. Certainly Mary wouldn't have done that. But then you just travel a few more verses and you find out in verses 31 and 32. Then Jesus' mother and brothers arrived. Standing outside, they sent someone in to call him. A crowd was sitting around him and they told him, your mother and brothers are outside looking for you. So she's right there also thinking that he has lost his mind. despite the prophecies, despite what she's witnessed all throughout his growing up, despite the miracles, despite everything she treasured up, despite all the teaching she's heard, she thinks that he has lost his marbles, and she tries to stop him from doing what he's supposed to be doing. She wasn't perfect, but she was a good mother, and she loved her son very much. We, as he continues his ministry on earth, we find that she ends up following him even to the cross. Like as he's hanging on the cross, she's there, and she watches him die for our sins. She's stuck with him. I think that we can get the idea that if we're not totally perfect in our parenting, that we've somehow failed completely. But God entrusted us being parents knowing we're going to fail at points. And maybe it is so that we could still be good parents despite the imperfections. He helps us in our weaknesses. Since there are no perfect mothers, but there are good mothers, what makes a good mother or a good parent? Well, James and John, the disciples of Jesus, also had a mother that appears in the Bible. Jesus is making his final approach to Jerusalem, and everything seems to be pointing to Jesus going there to take David's throne and become king, except for one thing, Jesus himself, who makes it very clear that's not why he's going there. And at this point, James and John's mother approaches Jesus and with her sons in tow, and asks that Jesus would give her boys the highest position in the coming government.
Grown men, mind you.
Yes, grown men. What a good mother. Jesus asks a very pointed question to them in Mark 10:38. He says, "Can you drink the cup I drink or be baptized with the baptism I am baptized with?" He's asking if they're willing to suffer and die as he's about to share the same fate. And Jesus had a specific will in mind for their life. Now, James and John's mom, she wanted to do something other than that because she didn't understand who Jesus was and what he came to do. She wasn't being a good mother because she was putting their will and her will above God's will. Ultimately, a good mother isn't perfect, but she's one that puts God's will first and commits her kids into Jesus' hands. She guides them into putting God's will first so that when they're older and they're grown up and hopefully not having their mom go and talk to Jesus for them, that hopefully they'll follow the path that they've set in front of them. Along the way may come failures, missed opportunities, imperfections, but if we keep correcting back to the idea of putting God's will for our kids' lives first and committing them into his hands, we'll be great parents and mothers. So perfection isn't required in order to be a great mother, nor is it expected that you will just automatically know everything there is to know about mothering.
Well, my older brother always says, I know everything, and what I don't know, I don't care about.
By that reasoning, I haven't seen my weight today. So since I don't know it, I don't care.
What do we got this time?
Americorn?
Sounds downright patriotic.
It is red, white, and blue.
Yeah. Now, with regard to my brother, I didn't say I agreed with it, but thanks for the bonus snacks, by the way.
Did you want to try one of these?
Oh, absolutely.
This is Happy 250th America. It's a
Does that mean
limited edition.
Does that mean those were created back in 1776?
I don't know. We're about to find out, though. Here, I'll just pass it your way.
All right.
So, listening to your brother is going to just turn you into an NPC. I just wanted to warn you that.
An NPC?
Yeah.
And what exactly is an NPC?
A non-playable character. It comes from video games. I know you're really into them. It just means someone who can't think for themselves, just kind of goes through the motions without thinking it through.
Oh, I have a little more popcorn. Thank you.
Hey, gummy worms.
There you go.
Those look pretty good. We'll save those for later. What?
NPC, huh?
So what did you think it meant?
Well, I had 6 or 7 different thoughts of what it might have meant. A Northwest pastoral champion, or maybe a non-prepared chump, a no-point communicator, a nighttime picnic coordinator, or...
Please don't. Please don't.
What?
You know what you did.
I have no idea what you're doing. I really don't. A second. Yeah. Okay. Sure. All right, I'm a little busy right this second, but I'll give you a call in a few minutes. All right, thanks. Okay, sorry.
Who, pray tell, was that?
It was somebody that needed some information about something.
Can you be a little more specific?
No.
Fine, keep your secrets. It's kind of great that people can call other people in time of need and get some immediate specific help. You know, that might actually preach a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe that could be our third point. In America, we kind of tend to glamorize the old rugged individualism thing. You know, you need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet. That's kind of the way we look at everything. We all have to make personal decisions as to how we're going to live, what we're going to value, how we're going to treat others. But you know what? God actually created us to be in community. Remember when he created the heavens and the earth and he began to populate it with the fish, the birds, the bugs, the animals, all that stuff. And he said, man, that's good. It's good. But when Adam was created and he was alone, God said, that's not good. And Eve was created as a complement to Adam. The idea that you have to learn everything through the school of hard knocks, that's really actually not true, and it's rather overrated. You know, if you look across the room on a Sunday, there's a lot of hard knock lessons that have already been learned by somebody. And in most cases, they'd love to share what they learned so that you don't have to go through the same thing yourself. You don't have to do this alone. I think that's an important lesson. We're part of a community. In the book of Proverbs, which was a grouping of maxims to live by that were used to teach proper societal norms, there's a lesson on the benefit of community. It just says a friend loves at all times and a brother is born for adversity. The lesson's simple, but it's also God's design. We're better together than alone. God didn't just leave it that nebulous, though. It wasn't just like, oh, get together and everything will be great. Paul actually instructed Titus, who was one of kind of his proteges, to encourage the community to learn to work together and to grow and mature together. And here's how he said it. You must teach what is in accord with sound doctrine. Teach the older men to be temperate, worthy of respect, self-controlled, sound in faith, in love, and in endurance. Likewise, teach the older women to be reverent in the way they live, not to be slanderers or addicted to much wine, but to teach what is good. Then they can train the younger women to love their husbands and children. So here again, we see Paul encouraging the congregation to work together. The younger women weren't expected to know how to do everything. But notice that he also gives instruction to the older men and the older women as well. In other places, he does give instruction to the younger men too, because it turns out they need it. But we all have something to offer, and we also all have areas where we need some help. No one has all the answers. No one should feel any level of shame, embarrassment, or weakness for having to ask for help. Almost everyone has a phone today. We really need to encourage our people to learn to ask. There's a lot of help out there. There are people that are in our room every Sunday morning that are on our side, that are on their side. And they want to see them succeed. And I think we just need to really continue to encourage our people in that direction. No one needs to feel like they're alone. We're being the church He intended us to be when we do this. This church is a pretty special place. And it's full of some pretty special people.
Sorry, I was caught up trying to figure out if I fall under the young men still.
You're kind of riding the fence.
So, do you remember that time where Emma found the paint and her and the other kid painted on the wall in that room next to the fellowship hall?
I don't. But I do remember when my kids found the permanent markers and they drew pictures on the wall in your office. Those red marks were there until you and Sharon finally decided to switch offices. It was at that point we decided, maybe it's time to paint the walls. So in the case of your girls, though, how did you figure out it was them?
Well, finding them wasn't so hard. Just had to follow the blue hand marks to where they stood.
At least it was easy to cover with the cabinet.
Yeah, that's why we still haven't moved that cabinet. Moments like that when things get so out of hand.
Oh, too funny.
And on the walls, I just sometimes didn't know what to do.
Well, not to be too spiritual here, but I suppose you could ask God for some help.
Oh, what a great Sunday school answer. Are you a pastor or something?
No, remember, I'm an NPC.
The non-playable character.
Yes, the noteworthy pastoral commentator.
Or maybe not particularly clever.
Right. Or something. Hey, wait a minute. That was...
Moving along. Oh. Pork crackling.
Tried to quit.
They have so many options back here. Yep.
I bet an 18-month-old loves those.
You know what we said a second ago? That could be our last point for our Mother's Day sermon.
Yeah? That God's only a prayer away?
Yeah, that's probably better than you not being particularly clever.
Oh, well, thanks.
You said that people were a phone call away. What if we say God's only a prayer away?
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about people being able to help each other out, but God can help us too. All we need to do is pray and ask Him for help. There have been many times in my own life when I felt totally alone and lost. When I first moved here out of college, I had left behind all of my college friends back in the town I had come from and came into the community I graduated high school from, but to a brand new church. I had several people my age that attended here, and I was friends with them. They helped out in youth ministry with me, and we hung out, but then they all moved. They went to college or to do other things, and I was very alone. But there was something that kept coming to mind during that time. No matter how many people left, there was always one that didn't leave me. Deuteronomy 4:7 says, "What other nation is so great to have their gods near them the way the Lord our God is near us whenever we pray to Him?" He isn't some distant, distracted, disinterested God. He's near. He actually cares for us and is always going to be right there. Things can get really frustrating for moms. They might not know what to do, but God's there. They might feel alone, even when the house is full of kids, or even when it's just them and their husbands still there after the kids have flown the nest. But God is still there. They might feel drained and without an ounce of strength or patience left, but God's still there. We aren't alone because God established the church. So we have each other, like you said, but greater than that, we're not alone because God is near. Life can get frustrating really quickly, sometimes totally out of hand, whether it's kids with paint or markers, teenagers acting like teenagers, finding out you now have a diorama to complete before the morning, kids needing
Or
money.
a sermon.
Yeah, kids needing money after they've left the home, or kids needing help with their grandchild or with your grandchild, or worse, sickness, disease, anger, hurt, separation, conflict, or even death. But God doesn't leave our side and is always just a prayer away. Sometimes we only have enough in us to pray a single word: help.
Mm-hmm.
I was there when I was first had my very first kid. My parents left, and by the way, hi Mom.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Oh wait, we're in the soothing room.
We broke character. It's okay.
They're gonna figure it out. But I remember my parents leaving, and I was there with Lacey and a baby. I was tired. I didn't know what to do. And I remember finally just going into the bathroom, closing and locking the door and crying, and just, I didn't know what else to do. And I just had just enough to say, help. And that's enough. He still hears it and can act upon it. Sometimes we have questions about what to do. God gives us answers through prayer and through his word. Even things like, which cabinet should we use to cover up the new paint job? He's there to listen to that too, and even give us wisdom that we so often lack. He provides strength when we're weak. There's a couple of really great verses in Isaiah that can be good to help remind us of the God who is always with us. Mm-hmm. Isaiah 41:10 says, "So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." Mm. And just a couple verses later in verse 13, it says, "For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you." So I guess that probably wraps up what we need for our Sunday message.
Decent points, yeah.
Yeah, four points, some verses, illustrations, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's 6 a.m. now, and we can still catch a nap before service, so that's good.
Yeah, the recliner in here is all right.
Yeah. So. I only have one question left.
Yes, you have to wear long pants.
That wasn't it.
No, you can't bring a plush chair to church tomorrow.
That wasn't it either.
Well, then what's your question?
Do I need to replace all these snacks, or are we just going to act like the kids snuck in and ate all of them like we usually do?
That works for me. Let's do that. So, moms, we're so thankful for you. None of us would literally be here without you. And I know sometimes you're going through challenges. And maybe today you're going through challenges. We want to just encourage you, keep going. And this is for all of you, not just moms. But this is a season. And just like the weather, given sometimes the season changes. Secondly, give yourself some grace. You're not expected to be perfect. Parenting is tough. Marriage is tough. Sometimes life in general is tough. And the answers sometimes seem hard to come by. Don't be afraid or embarrassed to ask for help. Rugged individualism isn't how God created you to be. We're Americans. Yeah, we're Americans that need Jesus and need one another. And finally, remember that God and His Word have the answers you need. Seek His wisdom in prayer. Seek His wisdom through His Word, because there's hope for you. You're going to make it, because He's never going to leave you or forsake you. Moms, you're loved. You're appreciated. And we're going to close our service today by praying for you. If you are close to a mom, physically, I'm going to ask you just to take a minute and just maybe reach over and just put a hand on their shoulder. And we're just going to pray for them. Lord, you see all the moms that are here today. And God, you have placed them in our life as a gift, because they show so much of your character just through their love, their compassion, their grace. And sometimes we don't consider how hard they work, the challenges that they face, and their moments of discouragement. But today I pray that you would speak to them, that they are seen, that you know them, that you love them, and that you desire just to bestow your blessings on them. I pray for this congregation as a whole, that as days go forward, we would learn to lean more heavily on one another, as we learn to lean more heavily on you and the truth of your word. And I pray that we would be strengthened as a body of believers, and that the older men and the older women would live honorable, respectable lives, and that they would train eagerly and gently the next generation. And I pray for those that are maybe younger in their faith or younger in life, who have more questions to ask, God, that you would also teach them humility and the willingness to learn from someone else, so that they wouldn't have to face some of the pains and the trials that others have gone through. And God, as you've called us to be salt and light, witnesses in this world, I pray that as we demonstrate your love in the way we love one another, that those around us would see you in your glory, in your power, in your wonder, and God, that they would be drawn to you. And now I just pray your blessing on this people. I thank you that you continue to work in us. You continue to work through us. And I ask you to guide us as we live out this life you've called us to this week, that our whole entire life would be witness to your goodness. And to that end, we just give you praise and thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.